Áine, thanks a million for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time out. You're on lunch at the moment, is that right?
I'm on my lunch break.
You're on your lunch
Very
break?
productive,
Excellent.
yes.
Okay. So there was a specific reason why we wanted to bring you back on. For those people who don't remember, Áine was probably one of the standout stars of season 1. Episode 10, season 1, Áine came on with a question, and it was a long question, and it was an entertaining question, and we got lots of pockets of Áine's life, and I kind of went, I want Áine to come on the show. So today is the day Áine's coming on the show. So you're very welcome.
Thank you so much, Owen. It's a privilege.
And what I would say is the reason why I think your question that time just covered so many different areas, right? And we got to know about the family history of finances. We got to know about how you and your husband, isn't that right, interact around money, and we also got
what
a little.
I had for my breakfast.
Yeah, you did, and it was great, and it gave us an insight. But I just thought there was so much on it, and I thought the way you delivered it was great as well. And I just wanted to talk to you. Tell me, what keeps you awake at night about money?
I suppose I think I'm good. But I guess when I started talking that time, I realised I'm not. And I know we don't call it the rainy day. I suppose I think about my future a lot. So much so that I think I'm forgetting about the present.
Okay.
You know, I'm really all about planning for the future.
Okay.
And I'm just at a really busy stage in my life, and I'm kind of going, I don't think I'm missing out per se, but I'm just conscious of the future a lot more than the present maybe, and I think I need to get a better balance. Okay.
And what I would say is doing a financial plan and getting a financial plan done properly will mean I've said this a couple of times, and I'm on record saying it lots of times, in fact. Sometimes we'd have a couple who would come into us, and one of them is exactly like you. I'm worried about the future, and I'm not suggesting you're not enjoying today, but it's putting a filter over today. It's putting a kind of it's distracting you from today because you're worried about the future. And and then the other person in the couple will be like, well, sure, we could be all gone tomorrow. Let's just spend it all today. Okay. And I don't know if your partner fits into the second category. Possibly. Yeah. Okay. But what a good financial plan does is it means that your long-term financial future is looked after. So we take all the big stuff out, right? Yeah. Like you put money into a pension, you put money into medium-term savings, you put money into I know you mentioned it before that you use spaces and wallets and vaults and different pockets of money, right? Yeah. And so we look after the short, medium and long-term. And when those things are all looked after, it means you get to enjoy today guilt-free. Is the unfair word.
It's the guilt. That's it.
Okay.
I probably feel guilty
about spending. Because you're not 100% sure that the future's looked after.
Well, I think it is, but I guess I'm guessing.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
We don't.
You know, I'm no expert. Yeah.
And why do you think it is, but you don't know? Is that simply because you've never done a financial plan?
I'm putting a lot into my pension.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. Don't give me monetary amounts.
I won't give you,
don't give me a monetary. Well, sorry, you can if you want to. I'm saying.
No, but like there's percentage-wise.
Percentage-wise. What percentage? Have you any idea what percentage you're putting in?
I do. I have 16 going in.
Okay.
And then I have 15 going in from my
employer. Okay, so in total is 30% of just over 30% of your wage going in. So you're putting a good chunk in, and have you been doing that for quite?
I think that's good.
Yeah. Have you been doing that for quite some time?
Only since I started listening to you.
Okay.
Since I started reading the books.
Okay.
And this Parkinson's law and all this. Because I will spend. That's the problem. You see, I will spend whatever I have.
Okay. So that's actually.
So I need to get rid of it before I spend it.
Okay. But yet, when you do spend it, even though it's there and you get rid of it if it's sitting in front of you, you do it with a little bit of guilt.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you ever gone about sitting down and working out, okay, I'm putting a decent chunk in and my employer's putting a decent chunk in. I should be grand, but I don't know. What stopped you going and finding out what?
Well, the financial provider provides, the future me and all this. And then, you see, I don't know how much I need.
Okay.
I mean, how much do you need? And I mean, I would hope that when I get to, say in 10 years' time, I will need less, when the kids are kind of sorted.
Yeah.
When I'm living in Spain,
And I do think, Áine, that's what we need to map out. Like, you need to get that mapped out for you, and you need to look at it. And
I think it's sufficient, but sure, it mightn't be. And, how long is a piece of string? And that's the thing. I'm guessing.
Yes.
And I'm putting things away, and I'm getting better. I think Revolut has changed has really helped me with my planning.
Tell me about the impact that's had. And when you talk about Revolut, you're talking about the spaces or wallets and vaults and stuff.
I used to just wing it so much.
Right.
And, I wasn't really I have pockets for my tennis membership. It's annual, but it's in January. So, I'm now putting that ahead.
So you'd be ready when that comes in.
Yeah, exactly. And just the house insurance and the car insurance and things like that. And I set up a Christmas one.
Right.
Thanks again too. I do listen.
Yeah.
I'm your top keeper.
So you have that going along and you're all over that, and it's real clarity, and it gives you a bit of surety that when tennis comes around, when Christmas comes around, I'm going to be ready financially. You're actually doing the hard work in terms of you're taking money out of your wages for your long-term pension, but yet you don't have the clarity you need.
I just feel that I think I'm good. I think there's top, middle or bottom.
Right.
And, I think I'm okay pension-wise. I think that's okay.
Okay.
And I'm getting there with my vaults. It's the in-between. It's the buffer. It's the life happening. I think I'm not so good at that.
Okay. And when if anyone remembers your message, one of the things that we laughed at was you said I was going to book the financial plan with you, but I'd have to stick it on the credit card. That would have been a buffer expenditure, I assume.
Yes. And
okay.
I just wasn't ready for it at the time because I had a few other things,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I love a bargain. I love an old discount.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I'm a great woman to try and get things cheaper, if you know what I mean. I get a kick out of that.
When you have the real short-term stuff looked after, and you're certainly not on your way without any clarity, you're on your way for the long-term stuff. What's stopping you doing the buffer? Putting that together?
I don't like. You see, where does the buffer start and where does it end? And that's what I get confused with. And I mean, if we need to change the car, is that buffer or is that your long-term savings? That's what I get confused with. Okay,
so the buffer is the place you reach for when you would ordinarily reach for the credit card.
Okay,
if you didn't have a buffer.
Okay.
So it's not about replacing the car. Replacing the car is like what you're doing with Christmas and what you're doing with your tennis. Okay. So you change the car today and you say, I've had this car for 5 years. It's after costing me, let's just say €5,000 to change the car to make the math simple. It's likely we're going to change it again in 5 years' time. I need to save €1,000 a year for that.
So I need to start. Yeah,
yes. Okay. And if the goal, if it's 5 years' time that you're planning on changing the car again, well, then you'd put it into a bank account. If it's a 10-year goal, we're going to use an investment account because it's the 5-year rule. It's going to be greater than 5. Okay. No, so if you think about that, but I actually think the crux of where I think you're falling over with the buffer is, you see, you should. And this I know you're the best student in the class, right? But you should really not be saving towards Christmas and tennis when you haven't got your buffer first. Okay, so if you diverted all the Christmas and tennis and the other things that you have going on until you got your buffer together for 3 months, right? And what happens is every time you dip into the buffer, you learn from that. So you say, oh, God, I got here, it's Christmas. I don't have a Christmas pot, right? And I'm going to take it out of the buffer and now I'm going to set up a 12-month thing for the Christmas. Now, I think given the way you're structured it and the fact that you've started out on that route, I would say to you, try and see if you can get both going at the same time. Yeah. But usually the first step is create the buffer and then start setting up the pockets or the wallets or the vaults or whatever else after that, because you learn every time you dip into the buffer.
I'm running before I can walk.
Basically. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You need to get that separated out. When it comes to investing the pension, are you getting great advice on that, and how are you feeling about that?
But sure, I obviously need to look at that because it's provided by my employer.
Yes.
And I signed up to that a long time ago. So, and I'm now it's my 21st with my company next month.
Well, okay.
I know. So I probably need to reevaluate, and it's probably changed. So I'm not, no.
Okay.
I could do with a review on that, definitely.
I really think, Áine, and
benefit.
You really would benefit from going through a financial.
From you.
Yeah, going through. Because what I think you're trying to do is, I think you're trying to do it all yourself. There are stats out there that tell us that people who have a financial planner, a good financial planner, have 2.5 times the net worth of people who don't.
Yeah.
And I think you're a perfect example of someone who's doing everything right, maybe doing it in a slightly wrong order, but needs to get some structure, some clarity on it. And the payback to you is going to be dramatic, because you will then get back to your original crux of your problem, which is what you said at the very start. What keeps you awake at night? You're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
You are enjoying it, but you're carrying this little bit of guilt around with you at the same time.
Exactly. You work hard for it. You need to enjoy it.
Yes.
And be sorted.
Yeah. Tell me, Áine, have you any questions for me? You're here in front of me now. You've obviously well schooled yourself in some of the stuff in the books and everything else. Have you any questions for me?
Yeah, like I've loads.
Okay, let's try and get some of them done.
Yeah. I should have written this down.
That's okay.
I never thought you'd ask me. I thought I would just have the verbal diarrhea. I guess the car loans, right? Okay, the car. So, because I have this long-term investment, but I'm paying into that every month. So it's like it's not easily accessed. So I don't like to touch that.
Yeah.
But it's okay to touch that though if I need to.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's going in once a month. I'm putting money in once a month, so obviously.
How long has it been going in for? Is it more than 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is.
Well, that's exactly where it is. And what I would if I was looking at all of your finances here, one of the things I'd be saying to you is the buffer is really holding you back. This is about finances and being in control of your money. Is about getting sleep, right? And that's a kind of an extended way of saying you're spending, but you're spending with a bit of guilt. And maybe it might be worth looking at that particular investment. I need to do it. I'm going to use that as my reset. I'm going to take money out of it. I'm going to dump it in and create a buffer there, right? I'm going to have my buffer now, and I'll keep my tennis and my Christmas going.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. And don't be afraid. I was just afraid to touch that. And that's kind of everything, because I used to have separate college accounts.
Yes.
But we used to have it in the An Post, and listening to you again, I took it all out and I put it in there.
Okay.
And
that's fine too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
I just thought we'd get a better return in the long run on that. But I think so that should be for the big things.
Absolutely. What are you saving it for if it's not, it doesn't have to stay there forever.
Yeah, that's what I get confused by, I think. I think it needs to be there in the future, and I can't touch it because, I don't do car loans. And I don't want to. So that's what I would, and borrow from yourself, isn't it?
100%, yeah. And what you might find is if I take this out of the investment, and you might miss out a bit of compounding interest, but if I take cash out of my investment to pay for my car instead of taking a car loan, then what you're doing is you say that car loan would have cost me, €400 a month. Let's increase the savings contribution by £400 a month in order to pay back the loan I just took from myself from my investment. Okay. Yeah. So, but what I would say is when you've got the cash sitting in the investment, you do need to decide when's the right time to be taking it out. The beauty you have now is though, because it's more than 5 years old, if it's invested properly, whenever you to take it out, there's the probability of it being in a positive situation is very strong if it was invested right. Yeah. And if it's more than 7 years old with a 60-40 portfolio, you will be up. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm still not, the 60-40 still isn't clear in my head. I'm just not getting it. I don't know why.
Okay.
I know. So, but then that's,
No, but let's try and explain what a 60-40 means, right? So remember, 60-40 is where you don't have you don't have an advisor. Nobody's sitting down and looking at you specifically, and you're just trying to DIY it, right? Mm-hmm. And you just take 60% of your money and you put it into the world stock markets, the entire world, right? Yeah. Where you buy thousands of companies, and those thousands of companies will you'll own a little bit of them. So you'll own a little bit of Google, a little bit of Tesla, a little bit of Coca-Cola, a little bit of GE, right? And when they go up in value and the value of that company goes up, you participate in it. When it goes down, you go down. And there's a secondary market there where people sell shares in the companies all the time. And you'll end up with a kind of 10,000 companies is what will be in there, okay? And then 40% of your money goes into a bond. And you give a loan of it to companies and to governments. Now, that's as simple as it needs to be. Yeah. And how you execute that is you go to your investment provider, whoever has that investment for you, you go to your pension provider and you say, listen, I just want 60% of my money to go into the world stock markets and I want 40% of my money to go into the world bond markets.
So I can do that with my pension now,
yes,
can I?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So one of the things that's interesting about you, Áine, is when you're talking to me about your pension, and if you're not sure how to invest your pension, it sounds to me like you're in a big group scheme and there's loads of you in it, which means there's a provider in the background, which means you should have access to advice specific to you. Okay, you should be able to go to HR or whoever it is and say, listen, I'd love to spend some time with the pension advisor in here, okay, and get some advice and get them to tell me, okay, here's the range of funds that are available, and then say to them, look, I'm chatting to your man Eoin McGee and he was talking about 60% shares, 40% in bonds. How do I do that here?
Okay.
So you could do it that way. And that means if you're not engaging with an independent financial planner, that is a route that's available to you to at least know that your pension fund is invested in a way that has got historically good returns on it.
Okay, as opposed to my long-term investment.
Your long-term investment provider, depending on who that is, like if it's a bank that you set it up through, the bank should be able to give you that advice.
Okay.
But that's the beauty of it. One of the things is what you're going to have to do is in silos here. So you're going to have to do the investment and have a chat there, the pension and have a chat there.
That's fine.
By bringing it all into a financial planner, they'll look at all of it for you. And they'll make sure each one they're talking to each other in terms of the pension isn't doing something mad that's actually undoing all the good work you're doing with the investment. Is there anything else you'd like to ask me before we wrap up?
Owen, I think that kind of covers. I actually have one quick question. This is actually now because I kind of, for this now is random. For older people. Do you know the way you say all the investment rules are the same?
Yes.
Are they though? Like say somebody in their 80s, would they invest the same as somebody in their 40s?
Yes, provided. So first of all, if the 5-year rule applies, it applies whether you're 20 or 80. Okay. If you're not going to spend the money in the next 5 years, it doesn't belong in the bank account. Okay. But there is another element that needs to be taken into account, which is the required rate of return. Okay, so how much, when we'd sit down with an 80-year-old, right, we'd assume they're going to die by 100. Okay. And where we have a couple at any age, right, if I'm sitting and I'm talking to you and your partner, it doesn't matter what age you are and what your partner are, roughly the statistics are that if we build a financial plan to average life expectancy, which is 84, 85, half of our clients will be 86 alive and broke. Okay, if we only build a financial plan to there, right? Because they'll be above average, they stayed alive. But if I build a financial plan to 100 for you and your partner, there's a 98% chance that if one of you makes 100 years of age, the other one will be dead. Okay, so that means there's a 98% chance my plan is right if I build it to 100 years of age. Okay, so when I'm sitting down with an 80-year-old couple, let's say, and I'm going, okay, you've got 20 years to go to 100 years of age. This is how much you're spending. This is how much you need for all your future expenditure. This is how much cash you have. And I look at it and say, how much return do I need on your cash in order to make sure you don't run out of money before 100? And sometimes when people are lucky, it might be minus 10%. They could lose 10% a year on it or 17% a year on it. And then you're saying to yourself, look, if we invest it, are you going to lose sleep on it? And if they're going to lose sleep over it, we'll say don't do it. Okay? Because you can afford to leave it in a bank account, even though we know the rules are that if you're going to leave it in a bank account for more than 5 years, you're going to lose money on it. But these people can afford to lose money. And if they put the money into an investment, they're going to lose sleep over it. The sleep is more important.
So I get you.
The rules are the same. 5-year rule, if you're not going to spend it, you shouldn't leave it in a bank account. Doesn't mean that you won't leave it in a bank account because you want, because sleep is more important. Does that make sense?
That's interesting. It does, because I'm assisting with my mother's finances.
Okay.
No, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's good to know, and it's.
Yeah, it just depends on their overall finances and what position they're in.
Yeah.
Okay. Áine, we're going to leave it for that for today. I really appreciate you taking the time out and coming back to us.
I really enjoyed this. I tried to be a bit more professional today than my waffle.
Well, actually,
anyway.
listeners won't know that when we asked you to come on the show, you sent us back a voice note saying, "Yeah, I can't believe I listened back to myself and the verbal diarrhea was ridiculous, but we loved it, and that's why you're here." Áine, thank you very much for your time.
And I think, you know what, my buffer will be there now, and I think I will definitely be booking in. So when, and I may even pay full price on, I may go for it.
Okay. Thanks, Áine.
Thank you so much.